Let me ask you about this. I want to talk about solar panels, not relation to the private jets, don't worry, but I think perhaps something a little bit more head-scratching, and that is why these multi-million-dollar companies, solar companies, need a subsidy from the government. I mean, if it's going to work in the market, if the market's there, why should taxpayers be taking on some of that risk?
Well, we're in a global race for the jobs of the future. The truth is, in terms of solar panels, the first wave of solar panel inventions and innovation occurred in Australia. In fact, in Sydney at the University of New South Wales, that solar PV technology was invented here in Australia. It has largely been commercialised offshore. 85% of the world's solar panels are built in one jurisdiction. That is not a good thing for the commercialisation of Australian IP or for diversification of Australia and the world's solar supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, but diversification is one thing. I mean, but China has a massive run on this market already. I mean, it's pretty silly to think that we're ever going to be able to compete with the Chinese solar panels on cost alone and proliferation.
I absolutely disagree, Laura. I don't like disagreeing with you, but I absolutely disagree. We have, for example, last week when the Prime Minister made the announcement of the Solar Sunshot program, $1 billion to supporting Australian solar businesses and companies in the solar supply chain.
Yep.
The company that made its announcement in parallel that it would establish a manufacturing facility at Liddell, there are two remarkable things about that announcement. The first is that facility will employ more people than the Liddell power station currently employs. More people. The second is that it is using technology which is cheaper and more efficient and is a new generation of solar innovation. That is, it's using copper rather than silver, and that has enormous advantages in terms of, there are 1,000 times more copper available in the world than there is silver. It's cheaper, it's more efficient. We must capture that wave of technological opportunity and jobs and investment opportunity here in Australia. That's why the Net Zero Economy Agency legislation was tabled in the Parliament last week, because this is Australia's opportunity to shift, yes, our own emissions, but also to recognise that 97% of our trading partners have got net zero objectives themselves. And if we want to effectively trade into those markets and become the renewable energy superpower that our vast resources say that we can be, that requires a government that is prepared to step up to the plate. And the Net Zero Economy Agency will be there to coordinate the government's activity. That's what this is all about. It's about
I get that.
Households, but it's also about manufacturing jobs.
Okay, and that's great. But my question to you is, and this has happened on previous governments, and I questioned Angus Taylor at the time, the government there put $20 million towards a hydrogen project near Wollongong, owned by a multi-billionaire. Now we have some of these solar companies, they are owned by multi-millionaires, and they're getting taxpayer subsidies. If these companies then thrive, there's no return for the taxpayer. Shouldn't there be some return for the taxpayer?
Well, there will be investment that otherwise would not have occurred. We get to make a choice in Australia about the extent to which we are prepared to fight for the jobs of the future. You can see what's happening in the United States.
But I'm talking about
President Biden and the Inflation Reduction Act is
a monetary benefit. If taxpayer funds, tens of millions of dollars are going, and then these companies go on to make billions. Why isn't there a return on investment for taxpayers?
Well, there will be a return on investment for taxpayers in terms of new jobs, high quality blue collar engineering jobs in the regions and outer suburbs that otherwise would not have occurred.
Do you think that's enough?
And there is a benefit for there is a benefit for communities and taxpayers there in terms of additional revenue. There is a benefit to the economy in productivity terms as we intensify the amount of industrial investment, shift towards a more reindustrialised Australian economy. That means productivity will increase. It means that those communities, particularly in the outer suburbs and regions that have not benefited as much as our inner cities have benefited over the last few decades of economic change, it means that good jobs will be located in those areas, and that has a very important social and economic, strategic and democratic benefit. This is all upside in terms of the Australian economy and the future direction that we want to go. This is the biggest transformation of the global economy since the Industrial Revolution. We have an opportunity to make sure that Australia is front and centre, exporting high quality, low emissions energy and products to the world, where we get to choose whether we step up the value chain. It just means that we need a government that is prepared to fight for it, and the Albanese government is determined to fight for the future. The Net Zero Economy Agency is the vehicle that we are establishing to make sure that is coordinated in an efficient and effective way, working with regional communities and businesses and the investment community and the trade union movement to make sure that we're delivering good jobs in central Queensland, good jobs in the Hunter Valley, in our energy intensive regions where there is so much opportunity, so much capability, workers with exactly the right skills, all of that industrial capability ready to go. That is why the government is determined to lead here, and why the Albanese government's $15 billion National Reconstruction Fund, $20 billion in Rewiring the Nation, $1 billion for Solar Sunshot Program, $2 billion for the Hydrogen Fund. The list goes on. This is the biggest industry policy package in Australian peacetime history. It is designed to make sure that we have a future that's made in Australia. We capture these opportunities for Australians, and particularly Australians in regional communities.
All right, well, it's lovely to chat to you this morning. Less interruptions
always
today,
great.
so you're welcome to that. We'll leave it there for now. Tim, Ayres, and we'll see you soon.